suit. We're going?
Yeah. All right.
How you doing?
Hi, everybody.
A demo of how to change a flat if you're in a race or if you're on a training ride is get in the smallest cog of your cassette. So if you feel it flat as you're riding, while you're still riding, shift down into the smallest ring. If not, you can do it once you're stopped. You make your shift here, and then just lift up and pedal. This ring, that'll make the wheel a lot easier to get off. Second thing you want to do is flip this brake lever here. This is if you have rim brakes. This will go back on once you've got it inflated. Open up your quick release lever. One quick spin on if it's a rear flat. I'm going to show you a rear flat because it's more complicated, but if it's a rear flat, you don't have any tabs, what we call lawyer tabs in the industry. There are little tabs on the bottom of the fork, so you're going to have to unscrew this. I'll give you a quick demonstration. You're going to have to unscrew a few times to get it past these tabs. It's a loose wheel, but it still won't get past the tabs. So you have to go a couple unscrews and then it comes out. All right, now set your bike drivetrain side up. Derailleur and then ruin the rest of your race because of your flat. So drivetrain side up. We'll put this out. Right, now in the air. So I'll take out all the air to simulate. Now, we've got the tire deflated. What we're gonna have to do is use our fingers to get the bead off of the bead hook of the rim. So we're gonna just squeeze the tire all the way around so it's out of that bead hook. Then you're gonna need your tire iron. On this bike I have a little repair kit with my CO2 cartridge, and it has a tire lever built in. Most of the time you can change a flat with only one tire iron. It requires a bit of strength. If you're not practiced in changing flats, you might want to bring a second tire iron. What I'm going to do, rim, wiggle my tire iron underneath there, and then pry it out. Now, if I've just got one tire iron, I will pull with a lot of strength, and now that's unhooked. If it's a really tight one, I'm going to give you a demonstration. If it's a really tight one, we're going to use two tire irons. This one has a hook on it, makes it a lot easier. So first I'll go in, put this tire iron in, I'll go and hook it onto a spoke, and now I can go in with a second tire iron and make a bigger area exposed, and then I can even walk and go work my way down. All right, now that I've got it undone, I can just use my fingers. I can use the tire iron. Go around.
Yeah.
So now I got the tube out. I'm gonna reuse this tube, so I'm gonna be super careful with that tube so that I don't pinch it and rip it. All right, now I've got the rim. I've got the tire and the tube. Put the rim back here for a second. I'm gonna take my tube off. I'm gonna be reusing this tire. I need to put this tire that may have caused the flat. So it could be a thorn, could be a piece of glass. Set the logo so you know where you're starting and stopping from. Run your fingers along the whole inside of the tire and find any glass or thorns or pieces of wire or anything that may have caused the flat. Don't stop until you've gone all the way around the tire. I'd say twice. It's going to just take an extra few seconds in your race, but if you change your flat, you find one thorn, second thorn in, now you've lost your second offense. A pinch flat, which would be or something, and the tire, the tube, basically the tire and tube pinch against the makes what looks like a snake bite. If that's the case, there's also a possibility of rim damage. So you want to just run along, just inspect the rim real quick and make sure there's no broken rim, broken edges of the bead. You can also just run a quick hand over the spokes to make sure there's no broken spokes too. If you have a broken rim or broken spokes, it's probably the end of your race or ride. We get our tire back in our wheel, and this is the pro technique. Find where the valve goes in and find the logo of the tire. I'm going to rotate this, make sure I've got the direction. This is forward rotating, and this is forward rotating, and I'm going to line up. This is one of the rules of cycling, is have the logo of your tire along with where the valve stem is, just so that it looks pro. And I'm going to go, and I'm just going to put one bead inside the rim. So I've got it in almost everywhere. There's this last little bit, and I'm going to use this part of my hand. If you work in a bike shop long enough, you get a nice callus right here from doing this.
Wait, how do you know that the tube is forward rotating? I had the same question.
So this is kind of hard to tell with this tire, and it's not that important. But if you look, there's the little lines are going this way. Lines in the tire that are pointing like this. And so here's the cassette. So that's the drive side. The tire is going to rotate this way. And so we're just going to have, looking down at it, the things are going to rotate this way. If you really want to get technical, that means that on the bottom where the contact is, they're actually like this, which seems like it's going at but that's just the way we do it. And I don't think it matters.
So
this part of my hand to peel this back and just use that motion going like this. Some people will back on. That is not what you should do. So now that we're putting the tire back on, we are done with these tire irons. We're going to throw them away. All right, so I've got one side of the tire on the rim, the other side free. I'm gonna get my tube. I like to have just a little bit of air in the tube. I'm gonna pump, but no, I think for sake of,
yeah,
I think I'll use a CO2. CO2 heads to show you. This is a real minimalist, tiny one. This one works by just threading the CO2 cartridge onto this head, and you adjust the CO2 pressure by just twisting like this. This is a more fancy one where I thread it on, and then I thread it on this way, and then I can use this button to put the air in. I'm going to use this one here. Now, when CO2, so what I've got it down snug, and now I go hard, and that's going to put a needle into the thing, break the seal, and now when I unscrew it a little bit, it's going to allow CO2 in. And so you got that framed right? I'm going to
all right.
Just a quick unscrew and then screw back in. I just put a little bit of pressure. Tube has a little bit of structure as I put it. Find my logo. I know that's where my valve is because I did it the pro way. Drop that in. Lift up. And now I'm just gonna work my way around.
You're putting it in the...
And putting the tube inside the tire. I haven't put the other side of the tire back on the rim yet. That's going to be the next. And I don't know if you can see better from this angle. See the tire sticking out there, but the tube is on top of the rim. And now I'm going to start putting the bead of the tire inside the lip of the rim. And in order to do this, I'm going to have to remove some of that air that I just put in.
Anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, he can answer them, or about tires or anything while.
So I'm in here. I started at the valve. I like to work away from the valve. And you can put the wheel kind of in your belly there. Get in close. Now it's starting to get hard. And then this is the tricky part. It's especially of the tire tends to really want to stick on the rim. If you're having a real trouble with this in a race or a ride, you could always take your water bottle and kind of lube this up a little bit with your sports drink.
Mary wants to know what's your number so he can come save me when I get a flat. Mary, he did that with me on Monday.
So again, I use this part of my hand to just roll that back on. All right, so now I have my tire on the rim all the way around, and all it needs now is some air. This valve, the brass valve on the Presta valve. I'm gonna go put this on. I have to use this hand to kind of press. I'm gonna go slowly. Now, this valve got really cold, so now I'm starting to, this is where it's nice to have gloves or something, because you can get frostbite by having your hands on this cold valve. And
Ooh, that looks cold.
Gently bring it out and close the valve. Now just do a quick visual inspection. There's usually sure that line has equal exposure all or popped out of the well centered, and we'll flip it over. We'll check it on both sides. See that line is kind of going in there a little bit. So I'm going to grab my hands and roll this a little bit. All right, now I've got it evenly exposed. That was kind of all right. Now I'm going to put the wheel back on and kind of want to work this so that my skewer gets. I might have to. What I'm going to do is the end of this cage, the derailleur cage, and I'm going to rotate that down. That's going to give me some more room on the chain so that the bottom of the chain is below the cassette.
That's all right. It's hard to see. I'm going to try.
So it was like this, and now the chain is around the cassette.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm going to reposition and drop it in the dropout.
Okay.
The chain does not get pinched between the frame and the cassette. That can happen. Sometimes chain stay. So make sure it's all free.
Oh, Kathleen wants you to do that again.
Sure.
Suggest having more than one CO2 cartridge in your pack or in your kit.
Yeah, especially if you're not totally comfortable, lose a lot of CO2 out of one. So having two cartridges for multiple flats and for in case you screw up with one flat. All right, so I'm got the chain over. I'm gonna rotate this derailleur back. And I've got to get it into the dropouts. There. So it's all the way in. And if you want to zoom out a little bit, I'm putting pressure on the seat to keep that right in. Ooh, important part. Got to close this valve so you don't inadvertently let air out. You want to make sure you're putting good pressure down and that the wheel is secure. So I'm actually reaching across the bike to do this, and when I go to actually lock it in, I'll put my chest on the or my stomach on the seat, and that puts pressure on the bike. Make sure it's. I've got two hands. The weight of the bike is to adjust the nut on one side and the quick release on the other. So I'm going to adjust this so that the quick release gets 90 degrees out when it's. So quick release is 90 degrees out. See that? Can you see the lever all right? All right. Now I'll push back. Actually, with this quick release, I want to go this way because I want to close it backward. And there we go. So I'll use
There you go.
and close it down. You can always grab the spoke to grab a little bit of the spokes to get a little more hand strength. You can.
Any other questions? Anything else you want to say?
One more thing.
Oh, one more thing.
Almost
Oh,
done.
yeah, the brake.
I got to close off that brake to bring.
All right. What
and
else?
Then to test things, rotate the cranks and see if the chain's on right. It had come off the front chain ring. I can get this back on usually pedaling. Let's see if I can do it. Trying not to get my fingers greasy. There you go. If it happens, put it in the bin gently, and generally it'll come on.
Awesome.
And there you go.
Any other questions? You guys all good? All right. Thanks. Trying